What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. We got some doors in today, which is awesome. A huge fan of that. Spoke in the last video about meta-modernism. Probably need a new word, but I've been following a few blogs the last year on this concept. Notice that this is a relatively pretty modern design, very metal inside, very industrial. One thing I liked about it was we ran the AC ducts below the insulation. So it never made sense to me why people run AC basically through the attic. So it's like running through hot air. Doesn't seem very efficient to me. I want to put this thing off grid at some point in time because I'm pretty sketch on the future of the American empire. Not like doom and glooming it. I'm just like, hey, we're at that spot where, you know, you wake up in the morning and you read a news article and then you see like Joe Rogan posting this story.
Trains. If your UPS or Amazon package hasn't arrived, it might be somewhere here in this mess, discarded on a Union Pacific Railroad track near downtown LA. As freight trains slow down or come to a halt, the thieves leap on board with bolt cutters, open giant containers, and take whatever they want.
And so you get back from watching that type of story and you're like, well, it kind of makes sense. It's LA, right? It's Cali. Like, it's kind of like what's going down. But it's just signs that it's just more parallels to the Roman Empire, where there's this great line where it was like, no one noticed that the empire was in decline. They just noticed that the roads and highways were no longer safe to travel. At the empire's peak, what made the empire great was commerce, that you could essentially go from here to there without being mugged, because in a strong empire, like, they had no tolerance in their society for that. And so essentially it was good. And then towards the end, or towards the later phases rather, because it's never really ever the end. It's just the end of that society occupying that place, and then the beginning of a new society many late years later, you know, occupying it. But it never returned back to its original, you know, statute, kind of like the Egyptian Empire, or, you know, the Greeks, or in modern times, it was the Dutch, less modern, but the Dutch. And then recently, before the American Empire, it was the Brits. And all of these empires have had at one point in time world reserve currency privileges, large monopolies on large militaries, huge tax bases, and pretty much all of their societies at some point in time have pretty much just devolved into chaos. And with Rome, they got pretty fake, pretty gay. That's just what happened. It's like eventually your society just gets super fake and gay, and you start paying people to like go to the Colosseum and forget the fact that they're starving. It's like, oh, it's fine. Let's watch some people just murder tigers and stuff. It'll be cool. Everything's fine. Just keep them entertained. It's kind of like what we do with football, or what we do with our television programming, or what we're doing with the metaverse. You know, the metaverse and the Roman Colosseums are very much the same. And so nonetheless, we're entering into this period where we should be able to expect within a reasonable amount of certainty that we're going to start to see the empire start to break down. And you see it in the shipping crisis thing going on now. You see it in the shortages going on. You see it in the inflating currency. You see it in the governors squaring off against the president. And you can basically sit here and be like, yo, fast forward this 10 or 15 years. You know where we're going. Everybody knows where we're going. It's pretty much like almost a given at this point in time that you can't just continue on the path that we're on and not have epic consequences. And so you have to look at what is the game plan by those that are the big thinkers of our time. And the game plan at this point in time is like your Davos crowd, your World Economic Forum crowd. It's your, by 2030, you'll own nothing and you'll be happy. And they're doing a great job at it, right? You get inflation, people can't afford gas, or they can, but they put it on a credit card, food goes up, what's available continues to go up in price, housing continues to go up in price. Sure, stocks are going up in price. A lot of people think that the stock market will just magically dump one day. And I tend to agree with that, but it's not dumping anytime soon. And as they continue to just let money printer go burr, the society starts to just devolve. Basically, you get all these social justice issues coming in play. Everybody starts just basically, you can just wrap it with one thing. You get fake and gay. Like, that's just what happens. And I have a gay younger brother, so I can poo-poo on him all day, because it's like, bro, we're getting a little too fake and gay. He's like, yeah, things are getting too ridiculous. And it's like, because everybody's now a victim, nobody's a pioneer and a warrior, like no one's an original what made America great person at all. Like, that's what literally made America great, is people were like, yeah, screw this freaking king or monarchy, let's get on the Mayflower and get the hell out of here. Oh yeah, screw these people, you know, like they're taxing us on tea, let's freaking drop them. Like, oh, screw these people, like the Northeast is now kind of pretty stupid, like let's head west, right? at all sorts of hardship and peril. You don't have that same type of person anymore in our culture. We've rooted them out of our culture. And so what we're likely entering into is a period of meta-modernism, which is multi-generational households, multiple streams of income, which is cool. People going back to their roots, essentially because they've lost their value structure. They don't have a value system. I mean, basically the last 20 years, 30 years has been like, make stuff curve go up, like more stuff, cool. And so it's like, you have a problem in your life, we can fill the void. We can give you more stuff. And so it's like stuff. And now we have the consequences of this stuff. And we are now the millennials are just turning 40, 41 this year. The very older millennials, and we're starting to see women that don't have children, put their careers first, didn't settle down and get into relationships. We're told, oh, dude, just be a femme boss, just like, yeah, boss girl. And now they're turning 40, and so we're about 5 to 10 years away from seeing the consequences of that. What's going to happen? Was your marketing career really that important? Was it worth it? Maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. Like, did you really like taking on masculine traits and like, pretending like you didn't need a man and all that crap? Was it really the right thing to do in our culture? Like, is it going to pay off? Is it going to ensure that we have future generations of people that are valued based and can continue on with how we've done life here before? And so what we're likely moving to is more of a global governance system, more of a global currency-like system, and then a bunch of small file-like communities that say, no, we don't agree with it. And so the consequences to being in one of those file-like communities or being one of those people that is anti-doing whatever the frick the propaganda is telling you to do that week is you're going to have less freedoms, and you're going to have less ability to travel, and you're going to have less privileges, especially if you're in Australia. I mean, this should be self-evident all over the world. But hey, guys, it's cool. The metaverse is here. You guys are going to be chilling in the metaverse. I mean, I've had a screen name on different, websites for over 20 years, but now it's called the metaverse. So don't worry about everything. Don't worry about the fact that chicken's not on the shelf. It's like we got the metaverse, guys. It's going to be totally cool. And so essentially what we're doing is we're just sprinkling over the peasants with some fairy dust. And we're like, guys, it's okay. We're just going to be more fake and gay. And everyone's like, oh, okay, that's good because we're all social justice warriors and victims. And so meta-modern is becoming self-sovereign in any way that you can and really looking through what is it in your life that adds value, and is the narrative anywhere close to being correct for your life? Like, is it even a good thing to be living in a city, chasing or climbing the corporate ladder and paying a 35% tax to the federal government for the privilege of doing so? And, having a car and all of the expenses that go with it so that you can continue to live that lifestyle? Or can you completely pivot and go internal and figure out other streams of cash flow, but while increasing your own personal freedom? And so we're moving at a spot where it's like freedom isn't free and nobody seems to care. But if you want freedom, you're going to have to do something about it. And the best thing that you can do about it is to create things or opportunities or lifestyles or control the commitments that you have so that you can maximize what you deem to be value creation in your own life. And so I will dive more in, if there's interest in meta-modernism, I will dive more into it. If you guys watch my Instagram, I typically would be like, I call it meta-gay because, like you can't come at me, man. Like, I'm meta-gay, I'm meta-gay. I talk, sometimes you can catch some of my Instagram stories. I'm helping my buddies with their food forests or they're building tiny houses. Got another buddy that's escaping New York as of this afternoon. He's just got multiple offers on his place up there, and he's like, Trav, I'm coming down. I'm like, let's go, bro. And so he's coming down. I'll be helping him build a food forest and an off-grid place and all that stuff, and it'll be fun. But we're starting to see people sift and sort themselves in a manner that makes sense for what they want to do. And those that are stuck in the grinder wheel of the narrative are seeing that their freedoms are just quickly eroding along with their bodies and that the narrative and the goalposts are constantly moving on them, and that their own government is constantly running a psyop on them, which is a psychological operation, which was illegal until Obama made it legal. So basically, you've got to fast forward this and go, there's a global scheme where 2030 you will own nothing and you'll be happy. It's called Agenda 2030. I read Agenda 21 in college in 2011, and I laughed at it. I was like, they'll never pull this off. Come in 2001, I was like, you know what? Or 2021, sorry. In 2021, I had to say I made a mistake. Like, they pulled it completely off. 54-page document, they pulled it completely off. Carbon credits, tax, the whole thing. I mean, they really did a great job at really getting the peasants in line. And so if you want to move forward from here, the best thing to do is to go, how can I have more freedom? Like, what gives me more freedom? And then really challenge the narrative. Like, do you have to have 2 cars? Like, do you have to have a career job? Do you have to wear a suit and tie to work? Do you have to live here? Like, do you have to be in that industry? Can you be just as happy doing something for yourself that, you know, you might deem a lot more, like, might give you a lot more freedom and happiness? Do you have to make that much money? Do you have to store your money in 401ks? Like, that's a complete scam. Like, do you have to give all of your money to 401ks and, like, hedge funds? Like, you know what I mean? Like, eventually it's probably not going to turn out that well. And so questioning through all of these things and then looking at the future and going, well, how do I position myself in an ability as things start to crumble around you? Very likely doesn't mean the stock market's going to crash. It just means that things are going to just slowly just kind of grind to a different standard of living. Can you have solar panels on your house, an electric vehicle, and not care about fuel prices? Can you get on board with the New World Order and go, hey, I got it. No more carbon. Gotcha, chief. Like, you know, can you run your stuff? Like, I've got an older trucker there. Can you run your stuff on biodiesel and not care either? You know, like, are you willing to make moves to put yourself in that situation where you can move and basically adjust to a post-2021 world? Because we've got, like, this period of time, the 2020s are probably gonna resemble something like the 1930s. At some point in time, it's gonna be pretty evident. And things might stay together, but you just might have, like, more Amazon trains getting wrecked or whatever, people going crazy, or eventually you'll get bandits running through. You'll have more defund the police. I mean, this is very communist Marxist playbook stuff. And unless you have a society that's willing to root that out, you're not going to fix it. And so if your society is too fake and gay, you're not going to go, hey, you know what? The commies are literally the problem right here, and we got to fix this. Like, we got to fix this. And there's typically, through history, there's one way to fix commies. But, you know, if you're not willing to do it, if you don't have people in your society that go, hey, like, let's do this. Like, let's actually, like, let's get off grid. Let's get based. Like, let's get on solar. Let's get on wells. Let's start growing our own food. Let's start preparing for, like, rooting this out of our society. If you're not willing to do that, and you want to just continue just, you know, living in the metaverse and buying crap on Amazon and dealing with some delays, but it's okay, it's got insurance and stuff, and, like, and you're okay with it, and you're okay going to bars and showing your paperwork and doing that, then that's what you got. Like, that's what life is. But if you're not okay with it, you're going to need 3 to 5% of the population that says, no, I'm willing to actually physically do something about this. And you need 20% of the population that's willing to help pay a tax and thus front the cost of doing such operations. In America, we have a track record of the last every time we've gotten to a fourth turning. I think there's been 4 or 5 times now that we've had in America. I think it's been 5. 250 years, yeah. We've had 5 fourth turnings in America. They've all gone the same way. We've pretty much gone that way every single time. Are we going to do that this time? I don't know, in a way, I hope so. Because the alternative is basically living in a world where, like, it's going to be a lot less freedom for the average pleb. Let's put it that way. So anyway, guys, thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing. And as always, I will see you down below in the comments. Peace.